Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome back to Easy Mathematics. We thank God for another opportunity to come to you with our next lesson for the term. Today we want to look at sets, which is a basic 9 lesson. Now that we know the introduction of sets, we know the laws in sets and how to write sets in basic forms. It is also very important to know the basic simplification of sets or the basic evaluation of sets. So today we want to look at how to evaluate sets or how to add, subtract and multiply sets. Now when you look at the first example, we have been given 4 set 2 plus 3 set 2. Now when it comes to addition of sets, we can only add sets if the sets are equal. So in this expression, you have set 2, set 2. Because we have set 2, set 2, we are going to add their coefficients. So now the coefficient here is 4 and the coefficient here is 3. So because they have the same root, it means we can add the coefficient. So we are going to add 4 plus 3, then we pick one set as the whole set for it. So when you are adding sets, if the sets are equal, you just add the coefficient. So this is going to give us 7 set 2 as our answer. Now this is possible because the sets we have are equal, or the numbers in the square root are equal. Once they are equal, the addition can be performed, or we can add the operations. Good. Now let's look at the number 2. The number 2, you have 2 set 3 minus set 3. Now, when a set is given and the coefficient is not written, it has a coefficient of 1. So here too, we can perform the operation here because the sets are equal. So here, just subtract the coefficient because it is subtraction. So we say 2 minus 1 set 3, which gives us 1 set 3. So we don't write the set the 1. So gives you set 3. So all you should know is that for addition and subtraction of sets, it can only be performed, or we can only perform addition and subtraction of set only if the sets are the same. So if the sets are the same, you can add the coefficient or subtract the coefficient of the set. Then you evaluate your results. The final one under this 2, you have 6 set 3 minus 2 set 3. So because the sets are equal, we just subtract the coefficient, which is 6 minus 2, and that gives you 4 set 3 as your answer. So we should take note of this, that once we are subtracting or adding set, each possibility is based on the set that you have. If the sets are equal, then you can perform the operation. But if the sets are not equal, then there is something to be done. So let's look at the number 4. Now look at, you have set 8 plus set 2. Now this set 2 and this set 8, we cannot add these two sets because they are not the same. So because they are not the same, we are going to work it out in such a way that we are going to get the same sets for the two terms. Now this set 8 can be written in a basic form, which we've treated how to write sets in a basic form. So this set 8 can be written as the square root of 4 times 2 plus set 2. Set 2 is already in a basic form, but this one is not in a basic form. Now this 4 happens to be a square number. So if you split the expression here, you have the square root of 4 times the square root of 2 plus the square root of 2. So the square root of 4 will give you 2, which is 2 times this, as 2 sed 2 plus sed 2. So now being able to express the sed 8 in a basic form, you now see that we have sed 2 and we have sed 2. The coefficient of the sed is what? 1, which is not written. So now I can add the two coefficients, which is 3 sed 2. So anytime you have the expression in sets and you are adding, all you need to do is that look at the set and check if they have the same set. If they have the same set as explained earlier, then you just add the coefficients. But if they don't have the same sets, then we are going to write the given set in a basic form. If you are able to write it in a basic form, you can evaluate the set. So here you have set 8 plus set 2. The set 8 is not a basic set, but the set 2 is a basic set. So this set 8, we should write it in a basic form. So we said that in writing a set in a basic form, we need a square number times a number that will give you the number in the square root. So the square number 4 times 2 will give you 8. And writing it in a basic form gives you 2 sed 2. And adding the 2 will give you 3 sed 2. And so that is how we work out sets that are not the same in addition and subtraction. Now let's look at the number 5. You have sed 45 minus sed 20. These two sets are not the same that you can subtract. We cannot subtract these two sets, but we can do something to the two sets so that the subtraction will be possible. That is, converting each of the sets into a basic form. Now, converting set 45 into a basic form will give you a square number times a certain number. So we are going to say the square root of that square number, which is 9, times 5. So you notice that 9 5 is 45. Then minus a square number times a number that will give you 20. So we have the square root of 4 times 5. So 4 times 5 is 20. Now splitting this out will give you the square root of 9 times the square root of 5 minus the square root of 4 times the square root of 5, which we say set 5 because they are not square numbers. Now this as a square number in the square root will give you 3 set 5 minus also this in a square root being a square number will give you 2 set 5. So you notice that the 45 has now been expressed as a simple base or a base set or a simple base set. And the 20 has also been expressed into a simple base set. Now what can you say about the set? You can see that the set here are equal. Because this is set 5 and this is also set 5, we can perform the operation. The coefficient is 3. The coefficient is 2. So 3 minus 2 is what? Is 1. So since we don't write 1 and the set, we just say our answer is set 5. We should take good note of that. That since I cannot perform the operation, I just have to change this one into a basic set. Changing this into a basic set, we have treated it in our previous lesson that to do that, you need a square number and a number that will give you the number in the square root when you multiply. So you are going to get this as what? As set 5 as your answer. Now when it comes to multiplication, the multiplication, it doesn't go with the addition and subtraction. With the multiplication, whether they are the same or not the same, we can multiply the numbers in the set or in the square root. So here, when we are using set to multiply, we are going to multiply the numbers in a square root. So this is going to give you the square root of 2 times 2. Okay, 2 times 2. Because set 2 is multiplying set 2. So when set 2 multiplies set 2, it will give you set 2 times 2. And 2 times 2 is what? Is 4. Which the 4 is a square number, gives you an answer of 2. So this is what we do. When it comes to multiplication, we do not consider whether the number is the same, whether the sets are the same or they are not the same. For multiplication, we can multiply the sets regardless it being equal or not equal. But we should multiply if the set that we have is a simple set. So a simple set is a set that cannot be simplified further. It is a set that don't have a factor in it or doesn't have factors of it. So here 2 is a simple set. This is also a simple set. We just multiply, then gives us the answer. Now let's look at the number 7. The number 7, you have set 2 times set 50. Set 2 times set 50. Now the set 2 is a simple set, but the set 50 is not a simple set. Now because the set 50 is not a simple set, what do? We have to change the set 50 into a simple or a basic set. So we are going to say that the set 2 times a square number times a number, that will give us 50, which is 25 times 2. 25 times 2 is 50. So this set is what we've expressed as this. So now we have set 2 times, let's split out, giving you the square root of 25 times set 2 as that. Now because this is a square number, because the 25 is a square number, when it is in a square root, it will give you an integer or a whole number. It will give you a whole number. So we are going to say the square root of 2 times 5 times the square root of 2. So now we are multiplying. So 5 times set 2 will give us the square root of 2 times 5 set 2. Now when you look at this, the set 2 here is multiplying 5 set 2. The 2 is multiplying 5 set 2. So when you multiply them, we are going to get 5 times 2, which is 10. Why is it 2? When set 2 multiplies set 2, you are getting 2, which was explained here. Even the rules of set makes us understand that when you have something like that, they multiply out. Now, when it also comes to the multiplication, the product also multiplies itself. The coefficient also multiplies. So here, if there was a coefficient here, the coefficient could have multiplied this, as this one will also multiply the set. So it is very, very simple, and we should be able to understand the fact that when it comes to the multiplication of sets, we should make sure that the sets that we have are in their basic forms or in their simple forms. Once they are in their basic forms, calculation becomes more easier to work with. Let's look at the number 8. Number 8, you have 10 over set 2. 10 over set 2. Now, a rule in set or an identity in set says that whenever you have an expression like this, whereby the denominator is a set, what should you do? Multiply the numerator of this fraction by the set and multiply the denominator also by the set. So for you to solve out this, we are going to multiply the numerator by the denominator, which is set 2 over this one too will multiply, which is set 2. So the set 2 will multiply the numerator, and the set 2 will multiply itself. The reason is that we are not to let the denominator to be in set. So we are going to solve it in such a way that the denominator will not be a set. So what do? We are just going to multiply 10 times set 2, which will give you 10 set 2. Okay? A number times a set will give you the number set. So 10 times set 2 will give you set 2. All over. Now, set 2 times set 2. When a set is multiplying itself, it gives you the number in the square root. So this gives you 2. Now you have 10 set 2 all over 2, which can also be written as 10 over 2 set 2. So the 2 can cancel out. 2 here 1, 2 here 5. So we now have 5 set 2 to solve for. So it is very, very important. This is a rule, it is an identity that was given. So we should be able to identify the identity that has been given in the set. Because we've looked and treated all the possible rules in sets. And when it comes to simplifying or evaluating sets, we mostly use or apply the rules or the identities of sets. Good. Now let's look at the last one. Now the last one is going to be referred to the introduction we began with. We said that you cannot perform the operation, that is addition and subtraction. You cannot perform the operation when the sets are not the same. So here you have 3 set 2 plus 2 set 32. Because this is set 32 and this is set 2, I cannot add the 2 together. So what do? We are going to break down the 32, the set 32, into its basic form. So here, we are going to look for, how do we call it? We are going to look for a square number that will multiply by another number that will give us 32. So let's record by writing 3 set 2 plus 2 set what square number times a number will give you 32. So that is the question we are going to ask ourselves. Now let's look at the square numbers. We have 1, so we are not using 1. We have 4. 4 times what number will give you 32? There is no number. Let's see. 4 times 7 is 28. And 4 times 8 is 32. Good. But you notice that the 8 itself can still be simplified. So what do we use? After 4, we go to 8. 8 is not a square number. So let's take 4, 1, 4, 4, 2, 8, 4, 3, 12, 4, 4, 16, 4, 5, 20, 4, 6, 24, 4, 7, 28, 4, 8, 32. 4, 8, 32. So we can use 4 and 8. Okay, how about from 4 we go to 9. You can use 4 and 8, yes, but you see that the 8 itself is a number that we can get a square root from. Okay, so let's use the 4, 8. So 4, 8 will give you 32. We agree. Good. So here, if you don't know your square numbers, okay, if you don't know your square numbers, you cannot write a set in a basic form. That is a fact. So we need a square number that when it multiplies another number, it will give you the number in the square root. Good. So let's continue. So 9 16. Okay, so we can use 16 times 2. Good. We just have to use a straight number. So 16 times 2. Good. Now 16 is a square number. So when you multiply 16 times 2, you are getting 32. So as I said, if you don't know the square numbers times a number that will give you what you have there, it becomes very difficult to solve it. Okay, it becomes very, very difficult. So we need to master the square numbers and the multiplication of that square number. So if we should have used 4 and 8, we could have still go again, because 8 is a number that you can get the square root, the first square or the square number 4 in 8. So we could have continued. But once that we've used the 16 times 2, 16 times 2 is 32. And the 16 is a square number. So now we are having 3 set 2 plus 2. Let's split out the square root of 16 times 2, which is 16 times the square root of 2. So here you are multiplying. So we should note that. So we have 3 set 2 plus 2 times the square root of 16 is 4 times set 2. So now we can now multiply this. The moment we are able to get the square root of 16, which gives us 4, we will use the 4 to multiply the initial number in front of the set 32, which is the 2. So this is going to give you 3 set 2 plus 4 to 8 set 2. So now the set 32 in its simplest form could have been 4 set 2. It could have been 4 set 2. But because there is number in front of the set 32, we have to multiply this number with that coefficient. So 4 times 2 is 8. So this gives us 8 set 2. Now you can see that you have set 2, you have set 2. So we can now perform the operation by adding in reference of what we started with. So now 3 plus 8, which is the coefficient, is giving you 11 set 2 as your final answer. So please and please and please, this is a new topic which has been introduced in Basic 9, and we can and we will meet it in our final year examination. So all we need to do is to know the rules and the identities that are associated to this topic. And know that when you are adding, we only add, or it is possible to add, if the sets are equal. If the sets are equal, you can add. If the sets are not equal, then you have to convert that set into a basic form. Then you solve your work. Now that goes with only addition and subtraction. Only addition and subtraction. But when it comes to multiplication, and you are multiplying, like the number 7, you have set 2 times set 50. Just change or convert the set 50 into a simple basic set form. Then you multiply. And also, if you are doing and you see you can't do it, let's say you have this, you can't perform the operation, just convert each, if possible, each to a simple set form, then you perform the operation. This is a basic, or these are basics in sets, which we are to look at it. Curtains will be drawn down on sets. We'll come again with just more examples of it. As God willing, next week we introduce you to a new topic in Basic 9. But when we meet God willing tomorrow, today is 1st February, Happy New Month. And so when we meet God willing tomorrow, we'll come to you with a lesson in Basic 8 that is based on indices. Based on indices. Thank you for staying tuned. Your name is Christian Malco. God bless you. And please subscribe and share. Bye-bye.